Hey everybody, it's your old pal Chuck, and we're back with another review. And today we're taking a look at from the Transformers Studio Series. This is Core Class Starscream from Bumblebee, the movie. Now you might remember some time ago we took a look at the Voyager class version of this figure, and I kind of remember not liking it. Now, really, with that review, my focus was more on proving that that was a heavy retool of the Blitzwing mold, whereas Hasbro and its delegates and its the silent subjugates who promote push their agendas were swearing that it was just shared tooling. I feel I did show that there was a lot of retooling there and shared parts, which means it was from the same mold. Um, Now, we will probably be seeing that mold again at some point because, well, besides the fact that it's already been used for the other Seekers, but it does appear that um, the Sentinel Prime from Transformers 1 will be a heavy retool of that mold. Now, this core class figure I was looking forward to because it just looked really cool, and I was kind of interested how they were going to pull off that Neo Tetrajet design at the core price point. Well, they do it very well, but unfortunately, there are some issues with the figure. The big one is, at least on my copy, um, the joints are incredibly loose. The shoulders, especially, well, the shoulders, but especially the knees and hips. As you can see, the figure just will flop backwards. Now, to be honest with you, we've talked about tightness of joints before and how, having an overly tight joint isn't always necessarily a good thing. And in this case, it kind of can be. It kind of, that's what it is because you are required to like rotate at the knee, rotate at the bicep, the elbow, and if the joints were much tighter, it's very possible you would end up having to fight from rotating at the hip. But also, there, as we'll see in the transformation, that's one of the reasons why we're starting in robot mode. There's actually a ball joint here in the torso that's part of the transformation. Now, basically, what that means is that over time, this figure is only going to get a lot looser. And that joint in the chest, that could loosen up greatly. And the only thing holding it in place is this top panel here that's part of the chest. Uh, and a tab. That's about it. I mean, it's not really. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Now, coming real quick, as you can see from the profile here, Starscream's head is actually on a raised platform, kind of giving it that it's like constantly looking down its nose at you. But it is a very nice face, close to that like movie design, and does come with a scaled down version of the blaster. Now, one thing about the blaster, I don't know if it's really coming off on camera, but the forearm, the wrist, the way it holds it's holding it like in this weird way that to get it to point forward, you kind of have to pose the arm in a less traditional method. Now, there is weapon storage, and that's right here on the back. So that is nice. I mean, I do appreciate that they work that in. And I do believe that's even the storage for vehicle mode as well. So unfortunately, you have to remove this for the transformation. But as I mentioned, it's all bold joints, mushroom caps, swivels. I mean, there is plenty of articulation. I mean, I was really looking forward to getting this figure. I figured this could be a fun little desk toy, and I was looking forward to seeing the repaints, which we'll discuss towards the end of the video. Unfortunately, because of the looseness of joints, I would be very hesitant to leave this on a table just to see if, because it would fall over time. Now, to start the transformation, which is surprisingly involved for a figure of this size, remove the weapon if you haven't already, come on the inside of the leg, and flip what will be the tail fin all the way around. There's a tab that will go into a slot on the leg, just like that. So that'll peg in like so. rotate the foot so the toe is facing inward, and then rotate the leg at the knee so that the fin is facing towards you. And let me just tell you that and by the way, with the foot, there's a little soft detent, so you know you've rotated it the proper way. And this is what I was talking about. Have if the knee joints were a little tighter, that whole rotation bit, that might be a little more difficult. So we just repeated that on the other side, and now you can peg the legs together. They peg right there below the knee, at the tail fin, and at the foot joint. Now what you can do is go ahead and lift up this chest piece here, and you can see there's the tab that was holding that in place. Bring the legs up slightly. Now be very careful because I've had it pop off at the hip joint, not going to jet mode, but coming out of it. Bring the nose, that chest section down, and then rotate it on that inner ball joint, which you can see right there. I mean, I can just really do see that loosening up over time. And then what you want to do is fold this all the way around so that, and it will sort of soft friction into place, hiding the head. And now I've moved the arms out of the way just for my own comfort. Bring the legs down, bring this section back up, and there are tabs on the rear of the leg that are going to tab in there. But really, the big securing point are the tabs here at the top of the vents. You want to press down, and they will actually snap all the way into slots that are right beneath the ankle of the feet. And if you did that right, everything should peg in and just follow along. I do notice right here that this tab is a little off, and I just, I just I just popped that out. You see, it just popped the joint. I was trying to rotate it. Um, Unfortunately, I'm going to have to undo this, but that's okay. That'll give you a chance to see it again. So, so just pop that there. I mean, again, thankfully it's all ball joints, so you can. There we go. There you go. Got that lined up, and now there you go. And you can see how sitting flush, sitting flush. Um, then what you want to do is rotate the forearm so the top of the fist faces inward. And I would recommend putting a little pressure on the shoulder joint just so it doesn't pop off, and then peg it into the side of the leg right there. The hands don't hide that well, but I mean, it is kind of cool. And the wings are on like these sort of detents. It's like goes from here to down here, and I prefer to have them lower for vehicle mode. And believe it or not, we're now going to get to the hardest part of the transformation, which is flipping out the nose cone. There are there is a little tab right there, but unfortunately, because of how tight it is, I really have a hard time getting it out. So I often have to use the blaster to just sneak in there and in that little groove and just push it up a little more. There we go. So that will just flip out like so. And then finally, uh, peg the blaster in where the same hole where it was in robot mode. And there we have Starscream in its vehicle mode. A very nice neo-modern Tetrajet, something I'm sure I know a lot of people enjoyed from the Bumblebee movie. Although that does have its detractors, that a lot of the more traditional Favors fans really didn't like the closer to the Neo G1 designs. And unfortunately, they also didn't like that we're getting concept figures from that film, whereas there's a lot of characters from the regular Bayverse films or the original Bayverse films that still haven't gotten a figure. That's a debate for another time. I'm not really going to get into it, but I like this a lot more than the Voyager. I mean, first of all, it's very solid. Everything pegs together well. It holds in place. I think that was one of my other problems, that the figure did not, the Voyager figure, the vehicle mode didn't hold together as well. Now, of course, that's because this is simplified and less joints, uh, less movement, things peg in easier, and you can cheat a little, but I dig it. And I would like to see this in the other colors of the Seekers. I don't know if I'd buy them all, but I would at least buy a Thundercracker or even a retool into Sentinel Prime. Now, we are going to go, I'm going to show you how to go back into robot mode, just so we can see if I have any of the issues that I've been discussing. So remove the weapon, fold the nose cone up, unpeg the fist right there from the side. And again, little pressure on the shoulder just to avoid it popping off, especially as you rotate the forearm. Now, of course, you can do that at a later point in time. I'm just doing it now just for the sake of doing it. Um, Now comes the tricky part where you do want to come underneath and you need to pull back slightly on the feet to unpeg them from that rear section. Bring this up slightly, bring the whole nose section down, and then rotate that joint. Now, I would recommend, as you just saw right there, holding onto the nose cone. I've inadvertently tried to do it from the hips, and as I'm rotating it, I'm actually rotating the hip joint, and I would cause the leg to pop off. Now, before you bring this back all the way, come in, bring this section up and around, and then fold this section up into position, and then this will come down and close over it like so, completing the torso. Fiddle with the wings at your own leisure. Split the legs. Oh, good, everything's still attached. And then really it's just going back, rotating the leg at the knee, flipping the foot forward, rotating that fin around and in. That will just fold up and just sit into that groove. Same thing here. Bring the foot forward and bring that around. And that will just sit. So there we have Starscream back in its robot mode. You can have it hold the weapon if you so desire, and rotate the head. And there it is. I mean, it does cut a very imposing shape. I just wish that the joints were a touch tighter, just so it wouldn't feel like it's going to flop over. But like I said, it is a very impressive figure at the core size. Now, will we see more of these, the repaint? Will we see the other Seekers? Skywarp, Thundercracker, and don't forget, they did a green version as Thrust. The answer is I don't know. Because the last I heard, I was under the impression that um, the core line was actually being discontinued. But then I heard, well, that's not true. Maybe it's getting renamed. If they continue the core size, which I understand why they're not going to, and that's a discussion for a whole other time. Suffice it to say that the pricing of core had gotten to a point where, for a few bucks more, you can get a deluxe class figure. And let me just say, how cool will this look at it as a deluxe figure? But and really, it was became a bit confusing as to what the who was supposed to be represented from the core line. Traditionally speaking, Legends class core class was really pushed starting with the films as a way for the main characters to have a figure at every price point. And then it quickly became was adapted to include the smaller figures like Wheelie, Rumble, and stuff like that. Um, And with that confusion, I think the buyers, the customers, really weren't sure what to make. It's like, do you go for the small Dinobots that combine, or the larger ones that are just there? So ultimately, I would hope that we do get have some way to get repaints, maybe with some different heads, of this mold as the Seekers. I would especially love to see it in the blue of Sentinel Prime. But if not, I think Starscream is a good representation of the Bumblebee movie and of the character and that mold design at this size. And if you see it, I think it's worth a pickup. Now, funny thing, I actually got this from Amazon Japan. Um, they had it up for pre-order much earlier than Amazon US with a delivery date. And while the date was always a little bit later off, it was always going to be sooner than Amazon US. So I just figured, it'll adjust naturally. Well, not only did it not adjust naturally, it actually pumped up even earlier to where I got it a couple days ago. And the Amazon US pre order is still slated to come sometime in like November or December. So obviously, I canceled that one and got this because I mean, this is it. There's no, the only unique thing is that the packaging has Japanese text printed on it. Usually, as you guys will know, um, it's stickers over the American packaging. So maybe the cores are done different. I think this is the first time I've bought a core class figure from the Generations line from Japan. So maybe they do it different, but it is available on Amazon Japan right now if you don't want to wait. I'm sure some other secondary retailers will be getting their stock soon before Amazon US. It's also very possible Amazon US will surprise us all with this sooner than later. But it is a good figure. Do be aware that it's predominantly built on ball joints. So even if yours is tighter than mine, it's not a question of if, but when it will loosen up. But that's it for the review. If you like this review, like, comment, and subscribe. Well, I will always appreciate the views, the likes, comments, and subscriptions. Help communicate to YouTube through the algorithm that my channel should be exalted and held upon high. If you want to make the ultimate sign of support, I do have a Patreon. It's www.patreon.com/chuckdog1999. All I ask for is $1 a month, $12 a year. You know the spiel. But as I always say, if you can't afford the dollar a month or $12 a year, your views are more than thanks enough. Patreon is just a cherry on top of an already generous sundae. So that's it. Nothing much more to add. I didn't do a on-camera intro because the figure is so small. I would have to get up like real close. But let me know in the comments if you do like those on-camera intros, because I think they are kind of fun. But that's about it. Again, that's about it. Once again, this is your old pal Chuck for Studio Series Core Class Starscream. We will see you next time.